Okay, folks, I'm really excited. We're going to have a wonderful, beautiful, vibrant woman to interview in just a moment, and that is Lesley Dahlkemper. I've known Lesley probably for a couple of decades since I've lived here in Colorado. First met her when she was running for the Jefferson County School Board. And of course, she won and did a great job, even serving as president of the board, I think, for a couple of years. And she's done so many different amazing things. She started out her career, I think, as a journalist for the Colorado Public Radio, where she contributed stories to NPR and even to the BBC. Pretty amazing stuff. And this past several years, she was elected to her first 4 year term as Jefferson County Commissioner. And she's also in her second year as chairing the Jeffco Board of County Commissioners. And as I said, she was on the school board for, I think, a couple of terms. But anyway, also in 2014, the West Metro Chamber named her as one of Jefferson County's most distinguished women leaders. And I would uh, ditto that. She's an amazing person. So let's invite Lesley to join us. Hello.
Hello, Dr. Beddinghouse. Good to see you. Thanks for having me today.
Oh, I've been looking forward to it for 2 months. So that's wonderful. So I thought we would start by you just telling our group a little bit about how you got started in your work, which has been quite diverse, but whatever you want to say about that.
Oh, wonderful. Well, I appreciate that. I am so fortunate to serve as the county commissioner here in Jefferson County. I'm one of three county commissioners, along with Commissioner Kerr and Commissioner Kraft Tharp. And I've always had a love throughout my career, no matter what position I was in, as a reporter for Colorado Public Radio, as you mentioned, or working at a national level in nonprofit leadership, or even owning my own business, to focus on giving back to the community, solving complex problems, but always doing that in a way with multiple stakeholders and finding common ground to really think through some of the challenging issues that we're facing together, and always with an emphasis on how we do that together.
Yeah, that's great. I've always been amazed at all the things that you do. Uh, all the meetings this year, with all the meetings you've done on Zoom with the county commissioners department. So anyway, one of the reasons I wanted to interview you is to talk about the health of our county. Now, there may be people who are watching this that are not even in Colorado, but I think that the health of our local Jefferson County is also can be replicated in other places in our country and even around the world. So, can tell us about the health of our county here.
You bet. Thank you. We're very fortunate because Jeffco Public Health works in close partnership with Lutheran Medical Center and also St. Anthony Hospital. And together, those partners conduct a community health assessment and improvement process, resulting in a Jefferson County community health assessment needs and community health improvement plan based on the data that's gathered. And the data were last gathered in 2018, 2019. And there are some interesting findings that came out of the assessment that in turn helped to inform a plan moving forward. So we have a number of areas of strength in Jefferson County that we can point to. Those include healthy sexual behaviors, teen birth rates among Jefferson County females aged 15 to 17 fell from 18 births per 1,000 females in 1990 to 4 births per 1,000 females in 2016. The other strong thing we've got going for us in Jefferson County is access to lots of parks and recreation. And we knew how important that was during the pandemic. As you know, Dr. Beddinghouse, we saw extraordinary numbers in our Jeffco open space parks, on our trails, as people were getting out, because we couldn't go to restaurants during the lockdown or to museums, but we were able to get outside, and that's certainly very good for our health and well-being. We also have healthy eating habits generally in Jefferson County. A lot of moms are also breastfeeding their babies, and we also have a lot of provider availability in terms of primary care physicians. So high capacity in terms of addressing health needs. There are challenges in our foothills communities. I represent Conifer, a portion of Evergreen in my district, and I always hear from my constituents about their concerns there. So we continue to work on access. And then finally, we have a number of opportunities that we need to continue to stay focused on. That includes mental health and substance use treatment and how we work together on those issues. Food insecurity, big issue. Our food banks across Jeffco saw a 30% increase in just new clients alone during the pandemic as we saw families struggling through that time. And they really stepped up to help those families and continue to do so. Alcohol and substance abuse, affordable housing is an issue. And then finally, vaping and tobacco use. And that's, as the mom of a teenager, that's something we're working on hard at the county level, because our numbers are not where we want them to be. Too many teens are vaping, and we know that that can become addictive quickly.
Yeah, that's amazing, isn't it? I think we also talked about the mental emotional health of our children. And I think we had just discussed something that Children's Hospital has put out. You want to share that with us?
Yes, you're absolutely right. The mental health and well-being of our kids is so important to all of us. Children's Hospital recently declared a state of emergency for youth mental health. And I think that was an incredibly important recognition of the challenges that our children have faced throughout the pandemic and how we support them as a community moving forward.
Is there a Jeffco hotline or something for kids if they know about, they could reach out, suicide prevention?
Yes, I don't have the hotline number with me, but I can certainly share that with you or try to put it in the chat. There's also an incredible organization called the Jefferson Center for Mental Health, which is based here in our community. And they do an extraordinary job of working with everyone, no matter what your age, to address mental health needs. And I know many of us have needed some extra help or someone just to talk to work through the issues that we may be struggling with during the pandemic or just in our lives in general. Jeffco Public Schools also has tremendous mental health resources as well, working with other partners and providers. So there are a lot of good places people can turn for information, and certainly happy to share those resources as well as a follow-up if that's helpful.
Yeah, we can put that in the chat box when we're done. Let me see if there's anybody else online. I don't see any questions yet, but we also talked about how well Jeffco has done during the pandemic and also getting our citizens vaccinated.
Yes, we are very excited. Jefferson County is one of the counties leading the way in Colorado. Some of you may have seen the recent story that came out in the Denver Post, noting that Jeffco is one of the leaders with more than 70% of Jeffco residents receiving their first vaccine shot. So we are very excited about that. And 63% of our community is fully vaccinated. Those are great numbers. They're moving in the right direction. So,
yeah, I remember several months ago, I couldn't get an appointment. And who did I reach out to? But you. And you got right on it. And I got my first shot at the Arvada Fire Department. So that was great. Great. So that's the whole idea of a community of people looking out for each other and helping each other and knowing where to go when you have a question or an issue that comes up. So your role in the our local government, you're basically our local government. Are there any other major concerns that you have right now about especially the health of our community?
Yes, yes. I thank you for that question. I have to just step back and make one comment, and it ties directly into your point, which I truly take to heart, and that is how do we help one another through this incredibly challenging time? And Jefferson County has faced other crises in the past. This pandemic was something completely different than what any of us have ever experienced. But I think because Jeffco is a community that is grounded in collaboration and partnership, whether it's with our local chambers, with our incredible healthcare providers, Jeffco Public Health, our county elected leaders, our mayors, so many other partners who step forward in extraordinary ways to work together to navigate response and recovery to the pandemic. We really are now seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. I think one of our challenges that continues, Dr. Bettinghouse, is the issue of equity when it comes to the vaccines. And it's an issue we take very seriously. As you know so well, COVID-19 disproportionately hit communities of color. And we saw that play out in a number of ways. We still have a tremendous gap that we're working very hard to close to ensure that members of our Latinx population and others receive their vaccine. So we're working very hard on that. And in terms of vaccine equity, we are looking at working with a Connectando network with Kaizen Food Rescue, Community Navigators. These are trusted partners in our Latino community and other communities across Jefferson County. And that's really critical in terms of closing that gap. We're working with vaccine ambassadors, Spanish language information and registration process, also looking at other languages as well. We want to make sure that everyone who wants a vaccine has access to a vaccine. And we even have mobile vans that'll be traveling across Jefferson County, school programs, fairs, farmers market, you name it, we will be there ready to vaccinate our members of our community.
Just listening to you talk, this is a full-time job. Sometimes
It
we
is.
think about your local government. Oh, well, they maybe have a meeting once a month. It sounds like you are sort of on call all the time to handle the issues that come up.
Yes.
What do you do to take care of yourself?
Well, it's a great question, and I probably need to do a better job of that. You're right; it is a full-time job, but we're very fortunate to work with incredible partners, as I was mentioning, our county team and others. And so, one of the things that I do is I love at the end of the day decompressing with a good book. Or taking our dogs for a walk. We're so fortunate in Jefferson County to have open space and incredible trails that are so close to us. So my daughter and I and my husband will load up our two dogs. We have a Great Dane and we have a Chihuahua Pug mix. And of course, the little one, Boss Lady. Yeah, it's like frickin' frack. They're just a riot. And we try to get outdoors as much as we can. But you're absolutely right about that. We really do need to make room for ourselves and our health and well-being, so we can continue to do the work that we need to do. And also being with our families and taking care of our families. So it's a good reminder.
When I first thought about moving to Denver, and I came here to kind of look around, and I knew that I wanted to be as close to the mountains as possible. So, yep, I found a place within walking distance almost to the foothills. So, getting out in nature, especially during this last year, has been so important. And, we've had kind of a rough winter, I guess you might say, and then lots of good rain. And now everything is so green. It is just hard not to want to be out on those trails. I live in Ken Carroll and right up against the foothills, and it's just a wonderful place to live. And I'm always very proud to tell people that I live in Jefferson County because I think it's probably it is the biggest county in Colorado, isn't it?
Uh, fourth largest. Fourth largest.
In terms of population or square miles.
Yes, we're 772 square miles, which is a little bit smaller than the entire state of Rhode Island. So we are an incredibly huge county, which I also think is one of our strengths. You know, our diversity is
Yeah,
extraordinary. Just
right.
this morning, I was at the Conifer Chamber meeting, and we have incredible communities that are tight knit in Conifer and Evergreen in our foothills, and then our cities, Lakewood, Arvada, Wheat Ridge, and more, and then unincorporated South Jeffco, Littleton, Ken Carroll, you mentioned Morrison. So it really is a tremendous county. It's a great place, to live, work, learn, play, everything. And at the county level, we're really working hard to ensure that we continue to enhance people's quality of life. We always have financial constraints that we have to work with. So we're always thinking about how we can be more innovative, more efficient. The federal funding that we receive to help address the challenges with COVID-19 help to ease some of those financial pressures, but they never fully go away. We're just now moving into our 2022 budget process. So it really forces us to think very clearly about what are the services, the core services and programs provided by the county? And then how do we best leverage the partnerships that we have with others, whether it's cities, nonprofits, businesses, chambers of commerce, to address the needs that we face? Growth and development is a big part of the work that we do, in addition to the budget and where we allocate dollars. Human services is another big part of it. And I'll add, when you asked earlier about other pressing issues, wildfire is a big issue. And there's a health component tied to that,
Oh, yeah.
as you know so well.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people may not realize, I certainly didn't until recently, that Jefferson County ranks number one in Colorado for potential property loss due to wildfire. And yes, and of course, our firefighters and our first responders, the sheriff's office, are battling a fire in South Jeffco right now, which they expect to have fully contained. Fingers crossed, by the end of today. They've done tremendous work. So it's important to underscore, too, that wildfire isn't limited just to Evergreen or Conifer or to our foothills communities. It has a direct impact on those of us who are in Lakewood, Arvada, Wheat Ridge, Golden, as we think about water quality, air quality, and more.
Oh, yeah. We've had brush fires up in the Hogback area several times in the last several years. And, it is kind of scary. And then the air quality from all the fires, does impact people with asthma and other respiratory conditions. So, I want to ask you another question. When we first talked, you said there were over 500 farms in Jeffco.
It's interesting. The Board of County Commissioners had a meeting recently, and that data point came up. And I don't have the specific criteria in terms of how we define a farm, but one of the areas we're always looking at is locally sourced food, and how can we think about increasing the access to locally produced vegetables and fruits and more. And I serve on the Jeffco Integrated Food Task Force. This task force is largely made up of food banks across Jefferson County, nonprofits, Jeffco Public Health, Human Services, and other collaborators. And this has been an issue that has been important to all of us. How do we know where our food comes from? How do we ensure that families are struggling have access to nutritious, produce? And how do we work together to make that happen? And how are we also culturally sensitive to the needs of different families in Jefferson County? So it's a good group of people working on those issues and more.
Well, it just amazes me because I grew up in a farming community. My dad was a farmer and actually an expert in onions. So,
Really?
yeah. So I've already posted about my dad. Anyway, yeah, that is so exciting. And, now that summer is, well, it's not officially here, but the farmer's market, there's so many around the area. And they're really around the country, and it's so exciting to go out and look at all the fresh fruits and veggies and all the other things that our local farmers bring in. And I always feel a little tug at my heart when I see that, because I know that somebody has carefully harvested those tomatoes or the squash or the cantaloupe, from our southeast corner down there. So
Yes.
it's, and you just think about all the wonderful food and how important it is to have fresh food. We eat too many processed foods. I
Right.
always tell my patients, if it comes in a box and it has that many ingredients in it, it's probably not the best thing for you. So, and we want to teach our kids how to go to the market, go to the farmer's market, and really realize that the vegetables actually are grown by somebody.
Agree completely. I am so excited for those Rocky Ford melons. I can't even tell you. I am a big cantaloupe fan, so I'm looking forward to that. But you raise a
Yeah,
really good point about the health of our kids and how we ensure they too are getting access to nutritious foods. And prior to my work as a county commissioner, I was with an organization called Colorado Education Initiative, and
hmm,
we were a statewide. It is a statewide nonprofit, and we worked very closely with schools and districts across the state on health and wellness programs, everything from scratch prepared food, healthy, nutritious food. In other words, food that wasn't processed, didn't have those multi-syllabic words that none of us could fully understand. What exactly was that? But really just true good
yeah,
ingredients. And so more and more schools are looking at that. They've implemented it. We still have a lot more work to do on that front. But we know for some of our kids who come from low-income families, the meals that they get at school may be the only meal that they have of the day. So we
yeah,
want to make sure that it's as nutritious and packed with as many vitamins and nutrients as possible for them. No child in Jefferson County should go hungry. None. And I think there are many of us who are dedicated to ensuring that that doesn't happen. But we also want to make sure that the food they're eating is good food. And it's really great to work with food bank leaders across our county who are really working on those issues and more.
you know, um, having a healthy community impacts everybody,
Mhm.
from those who are well off and have no worries about finances to those who don't. And the community is so important to me, and it's so important to attaining and maintaining good health that just can't stop talking about it. So I think we should be grateful to platforms like Facebook. At least we're doing something good, promoting good information to help people. I actually had what we call a discovery call with somebody from this Facebook group. She's not going to come see me because she lives in another state, but it was so much fun just to connect, to give back.
Mhm.
The one thing, Lesley, that I've learned over my many years of being on planet Earth is the opportunity to give, and to
Mhm.
give of your heart, your love, your compassion, your understanding, and sometimes your wisdom and your knowledge that you have gained over the years. And so that's why I'm doing this, just to give back to people and maybe bring a little sparkle to somebody's life. And, I can't begin to tell you how grateful I am to you, because I see you out there doing your work, even though, I only met you one time in person.
Right.
That was I think you had a fundraiser or something at your house for when you were running for the school board. But I see you, okay? And I
Thank
know
you.
you, and I know the good work you do, and I know how dedicated you are. It's just clear as a bell. And I want to inspire other people to be that kind of person, a good, loving, kind person for not only our local community, but for our whole world, because, each one of us makes a difference. And we can continue to do that as we come together and work together locally and then statewide and then in the country and then for the whole world. So, I'm a bit of a optimist, but
I am as well, and I can't thank you enough for the kind comments. That means a lot to me. It means a lot to me. This has been such a challenging year for so many of us, and I think that we often say it's so important during these especially difficult times to be kind to one another, to look out for one another, right? To reach out. What can I do to help? How can I support you? And I think there's even data that show when we give, we get so much more back. I think there's even research that supports it. Not that we need research to tell us that. You can feel it, in your heart.
Absolutely.
There's no question about that. And I'm also grateful to you, Dr. Bettinghouse, for the work that you're doing to remind all of us how important it is to be a part of your community from whatever vantage point is best for you. You don't have to run for public office, for school board or the Board of County Commissioners, but simply being engaged, paying attention, maybe volunteering at your local food bank, maybe thinking about applying for a county board or commission. In fact, we're going to have a number of applications opening up for spots on boards and commissions that focus on a whole range of different kinds of issues. Where does your passion lie? And what do you think you are able to give in terms of time? We'll take it. We always appreciate our community's engagement on these issues. There's a lot to tackle.
Yeah. The more engaged you are in life itself, and which means your family life and your community life, it's actually good for your health.
Yes.
Okay, it's good for your health to be involved, engaged, and connected. So,
Yes.
gosh, Lesley, our time has really flown. Is there anything else that you want to bring up that you think people should know?
You bet. I want to just take a moment to send a heartfelt thank you to our community for everything that you have done, working with the county, side by side with the county, as we work through response and recovery throughout this pandemic. We know that many people, from businesses to community members to our healthcare providers, made tremendous sacrifices, and they stepped up in extraordinary ways. And so there is light at the end of the tunnel. We are so excited as we look at the graphs showing vaccines going up and cases going down, that we'll continue to stay healthy, to stay involved in our community. And if you have any questions for me, you can always reach me or any of the county commissioners at our email address. It's commish, COMMISH, at jeffco.us, or me at Dahlkem, LDAHLKEM, at jeffco.us. We're always here to listen to concerns that you might have. And I so appreciate this opportunity, Dr. Bettinghouse.
Oh, it's been my joy, and I'll be sure I put those in the post after we're done. I don't know why I'm not seeing anybody on here. I don't know if there's anybody here, but if you're listening to this later, just know that we live in a great place and we have wonderful people like Lesley who are guiding us and helping our community thrive. And so we'll see you next week. We're going to be talking with a nutritionist next week. And so, I've been posting about food. Food's good for you. Okay, we'll see you later.